Here we go. It's time for another podcast. It's going to be the first one of 2023, and I'm excited. It's been a while. Seems like it's been a whole year. Had camera issues, etc., but it is time to get the party started. So, due to camera issues or whatever, I made certain that I let the group know that I wanted to stop so that I could turn the camera on and to make certain that it, in fact, was on. Because I know a lot of people look forward to this. I look forward to doing it, and I've got lots to say always, and sometimes I don't get to say it. Regardless of all that, the game is now afoot. We see Byron there, the big dog, aka Superman, making a clothing adjustment and stuffing his clothing back into his jersey pockets. See some of the other big men there, Wolfgang and JC, and up the road is the rest of the rabble. Just to remind our viewers, we know this is the new sprint zone. It doesn't have that wicked corner in it, the left right chicane, which I kind of miss, but I digress. Coming up through the field, we see John Lawler and we got, looks like Todd Mellinger, big men from the TTH that grace us with their presence to keep us honest. Everyone is excited for the new year. There's a little bit of lethargy, and the group is somewhat strung out here, and I don't like to see this because this just means more work for me. So I'm kind of tucked in here, and I realize I'm getting kind of blocked. I'm looking up the road. There's riders that are kind of going off a little bit, but they're of no danger. But I still want to be back here because there's just too much of a gap. So I'm gonna make my way around some of the folks that are intentionally probably sagging back because they don't want to do any work here. They know it's much easier to sit in. And as I found out before, yeah, I felt guilty just sitting in the whole way up the sprint zone. I feel like I didn't get any work in. Anyway, coming up through just past Tim off to the right, not certain why he was not in the echelon. And this is a sweet little echelon here. I'm still a little far back, so I'm going to make the cheeky little move to come up on the right side. Yeah, it's costing me a little bit of effort because there's a slight crosswind, but I'd much rather be up closer to the front than to get back here because you never know what's going to happen. I slide in here, and for one of the few times, Ayla Kuchta up in the front pack. This was an excellent move, and you can see that she wants no part of like second place. She knows that she stays close enough to the front, she can hang in there. So I'm going to oblige her and go around there. There we see Danny and we see Scott, and there's our leader Ian. And I just come by and it looks like, what, 22, 23, 24 miles an hour. So expecting people to somewhat be on my wheel, but there's really no reaction here except from Scott. It seems like perhaps the season is too early and there's a lethargy, but quickly enough, that move is covered because perhaps of respect, I am maybe seen to be a danger man and people don't want to be caught back. So it looks like there's three, four of us here, starting to get strung out. Unfortunately, today I don't have my power meter. Sometimes it syncs, sometimes it doesn't, and I didn't spend the time to make certain that it did. So we got my heart rate, which shows I'm not working too hard just yet. Got Justin Hack coming over on the left side to give me some respite up here, which is well appreciated. Scott coming through. Let's see who else comes through. Looks like Danny, looks like Tim, and Aya looking good, and Jonathan Day, a long time lurker, first time participant, at least in a long time. Good to see the Rio team represented here. Aya looking super strong, just sitting in there in perfect position in a little bit of the draft. Jonathan off there pushing a little bit of wind, so he's going to be working a little bit harder than Isla. Isla lets a little bit of a gap open up here as the acceleration has ensued here, and I can see the speed is up to 27, but she is in the right place. So I know Isla's not going to watch this because she doesn't watch the videos, so I'm going to talk about her here. So she's in a really good spot, except for she's a little too far off to my right. The draft is off of my left shoulder, and as such, she is not getting all the benefit that she can. Everybody following her was, so she is off in pushing on a wind for maybe safety reasons. She feels a little safer getting a view, but she's off there. We got John here, another guy who I don't know if he watches these videos. He's not a Facebook guy, so I'll talk about him too. Perfect position here. Covered that move nicely. Looks like Greg back there looking strong also, and looks like Wolfgang in our little pack, and the rest of the rabble is to follow. It looks like we are strung out here, and I'm not certain who's up front, but if I had to guess, it is Byron, the big dog Superman, because he's really the only one who could string this out like this with no one wanting to do anything, and that is in fact what is happening here. So Byron on the gravel bike like he does every season, keeping us honest. And the game is truly afoot at this point, and selections are starting to be made. Beautiful group here. Perfect little echelon. No one crossing the yellow line. Pretty smooth, no jerky movements here. This is a thing to behold here. And I can see in the back other strong men. It looks like Mr. Mellinger and maybe JC back there. Can't really tell. But it's a good, strong selection here, a very safe selection, and I'm pretty happy to be where I am. I'm a little bit tired from like the workout the day before, so I'm happy to kind of sit in. Wish I would have had my power meter to known what was going on here, but it didn't feel too horrible at this point. So here's this little grade here when I want to make certain that I'm in a proper position. Him off to the right a little bit, and I'm thinking, you're not in the best position for shelter. That's okay. He's a strong rider and he will sag back and get on. Wolfgang looking really strong there, coming into the picture on my wheel, and it looks like JC back there as some of the lesser strong riders have sagged back through the hill. And that's a good hint. If you aren't that great of a climber, just get to the front, sag your way back, and you can recover and latch on instead of having to hold on at the end because it is like trying to grab the end of a whip. I mean, people wonder why that analogy is used, and you hear that crack at the end of a whip. That is actually the sound of the end of the whip breaking the sound barrier, which is what that snap is. And that is analogous to what happens here if you get caught back with that unicorn effect. So here's something here. Nice little echelon, and this I think is a mistake on Byron's part. Pulls off to the left-hand shoulder side when there's a perfect echelon. Um, that confused a lot of people. And then Scott does the same thing. And you can see Danny's like, what's going on here? This is the wrong way for rotation. This is dangerous. And I agree. Good call, Danny. Because this is how, and I think this is how Ilka crashed and Rick many years ago, is that they got bowling balled by somebody coming off the wrong side of an echelon. When I say bowling ball, you know how like the head pin and they all echelon out to the side basically came through that because the guy got off the front, got off the gas. Now, Byron did not get off the gas. And in a race with seasoned people, this is an okay tactic. But in a group, maybe to quote the instructors at Top Gun, it may have been a win for Byron here, but I think we've shown it to be a mistake. Anyway, that being said, I'm at the front here, and I soft pedal a little bit, hoping that people will take over at this point. And then Wolfgang goes pretty hard. And at this point, my heart rate's almost pegged here at 170 something or other. I don't know how correct that was. It's starting to come down now, but at the time, I did not feel that way. But we have the heads of state and Wolfgang up at the front, Byron the big dog, JC. And we get a little bit of interesting ocular view here. I thought to play with the camera to get a good view here. We see Mr. Mellinger, Mr. Lawyer, John, and Scott, and Danny up at the front, and Justin, last but not least. So I'm swinging here at the end. My legs are screaming from the previous day's workout, and I'm hoping to maintain contact. I'm really happy that there is strong men like Wolfgang out there sitting out in the wind because I would have been pushed over the yellow line and it would have been game over a little bit sooner than it would have needed to have been. But at this point, I'm working hard. And there's a little bit of acceleration here, not only from the speed, but because of the grade here, it's making us work hard, pretty hard. So I think I'm probably the last guy in this little echelon. There's probably people hanging out behind me, and at this point, I'm pretty much like, okay, I'm not going to be able to hang on this much longer. Let's just see if we can get some shelter. A little bit of wiggy wag in there, and I'm not certain what happened. People trying to follow the echelon closely. I normally don't like to do that, especially when you can see, because it just causes a whip effect. So At this point, I'm hanging back. I'm like, okay, game over for me. There's enough acceleration up here for the final sprint, and I just don't have it in my legs right now. You can see the big man off to the right there, Byron on the gravel bike, after sort of starting off this little attack, hanging in there in the back, looking to see if anybody is there behind him. But he is last. At this point, I'm dropping off my speed because I got all the goodie out of this one that I required. That was a good one. Um, he's pretty safe for the first sprint zone of the year. Pretty happy about that. My fitness is good. There's the motivation, and I want to thank Isla and Greg and Byron and Kent and Scott and those people that are active on the Facebook group, motivating others like myself to come out here in the cold. Because honestly, I'm really glad I came out, but I needed a little extra nudge to bail out on some of the work meetings, etc., and be out here. Anyway, I'm chilling. You can see my heart rate coming down. I'm gonna relax before it is time to turn around here. Anyway, that's pretty much all I had to say. I hope everyone enjoyed this one. Looking good, looking forward to a prosperous and really quick 2023 as the group is growing in size and popularity. Just hope that we can keep things safe and that the culture of the group isn't changed too much. Enough of my rambling. Congratulations to those who made the final selection, and peace out.